Several years ago, when I first started hiring my first employees for my small business, I had a bit of an advantage. Not only was I a human resources professional who was educated and experienced in hiring employees, but when I started my career in HR in the early days, I also got my payroll certification. So my role when I was in the corporate world was not only overseeing the HR department, but also payroll. So, what I'm going to do for you, small business owners who are ready to start hiring your first employee or employees, is share with you some of the things that you need to know as a small business in Canada when you start hiring. Now, some of the things that you probably have already looked up or started considering is how to pay your employees. If you just go onto the Government of Canada website, the CRA, and type in payroll, they have so much great information for you. They will show you how to set up a payroll number. They will teach you how to do a proper record of employment for when you have to let go of your employees. They even have, and a lot of small businesses don't even know about this, they even have a calculator. It's called a payroll deduction online calculator. And you can do all of your deductions right there on that site. Now, as I mentioned, it's called the Payroll Deduction Online Calculator, or as we like to call it, the PDOC. When you're a small business, you don't necessarily have to invest in all of those AI services like QuickBooks or Payworks or whatever it is that you decide to invest in. If you're just hiring one or two employees, you can just use PDOC and a spreadsheet to keep track of all of your deductions and what you need to remit as payroll to the government. It really is super user friendly and everything is right there for you on the site. Okay, so we've covered payroll, but there are so many other things to starting a business that you need to know about. For instance, when you hire your employees, you need to know how to properly find them. Now, sometimes when you start out, you might already have somebody in mind that you're going to bring on board, and that's totally fine. That actually makes your recruiting efforts quite easy. But as you start to get larger, you're going to need to have a recruitment strategy. Actually, you're going to need to have an entire hiring strategy from recruitment through to hiring through to onboarding. And in order for you to do that, you have to make sure that you have position descriptions, internal position descriptions. So just to give you a quick idea of what a position description is, that's your internal long form description of what your employees are expected to do. You will also need a position profile. Now, you probably are more familiar with the term job ad. That's what your position profile is. It's just a short summary of what the people you are trying to attract to your business are supposed to have. You will also need to have a set list of pre-screen questions, a set list of interview questions, and reference checking questions. And you want to make sure that when you're trying to find somebody, that you have all those questions available. You also want to make sure that you have a good offer of employment. I do not want to hear that you went out and gave a handshake deal with somebody and then you just started because your gut told you could trust them. You felt like they were the right person and you just said, hey, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars. You're going to do this for me and we have an agreement. If it ever comes down to a point where there's a dispute based on what you told them and what they think they heard, they will always end up winning that dispute because it is considered implied and the employee is the one who will have the upper hand on that. So you don't want to have to go through that. So you want to make sure that you have an offer letter with an employment agreement that they can sign to and agree that has all the details of that employment in there, the wage, the expected hours. If confidentiality is really important in that position, make sure that you have a confidentiality agreement in there. There's a lot of things that you want to cover in an employment agreement. And then once they accept that offer, the next thing that you need to have is a good onboarding strategy. When I talk about onboarding, I'm not just talking about bringing them on board and sitting them down at a desk and saying, welcome. No, you want to start with a really good welcome letter, telling them what to expect on their first day and their upcoming weeks with the company. Then once you get them in, you want to introduce them to people. You want to show them where their workspace is, or if it's outdoors, you can show them where, everything that they need to access. They need to know all the details. Just put yourself in their shoes. If you were to start with the company, what would you want? And onboarding also connects to the employee policies. Employee policies are not to be mistaken for employment legislation. So the legislation is your employment standards code or your act in your province or in your territory that everyone must follow. It's the minimum standard you must follow. What your policies are is something above and beyond that. So for instance, if you were to pay employees sick time above and beyond what the employment standard says, that is a policy that you can have in your business, in your policy manual. If company dialect is really important, if there's a certain language that you want everybody to communicate in so that nobody's felt like they have been ostracized, that could be a policy that you put in your rule book. Now, these are guidelines. They don't cover every single situation that can happen in an organization, but they'll cover the majority. If there's one situation that is not covered in the policy manual, you can make a decision at that time. And when you start to grow and you start to have team leads or supervisors or managers, that rule book, that policy manual is going to help them with making decisions that are consistent throughout the organization. So nobody is confused on what the rules are or the guidelines for that matter, because like I said, not every situation will be covered in your book, but the majority of them will be. So when it comes to hiring your first employees, if you really want to be proactive and have a good plan for your organization, you want to make sure that you have a good recruitment strategy, a good hiring strategy, and a good onboarding strategy. Not only that, you want to make sure that all of your government paperwork is set up beforehand. So you might be wondering, how far ahead should I be planning to hire my employees before they actually start with me? Well, first of all, it takes approximately 60 days from the moment you decide you need somebody to the moment they start to do the entire recruitment process if you do it right. Now, like I said, that's the average amount of time that it takes. Sometimes it's quicker if there's a larger pool to choose from, and sometimes it's longer. So you really want to take a look at the type of job it is. For instance, if it's an administrative assistant, there are a lot more applicants for administrative assistant compared to a rocket scientist. There's a lot less applications for that. So it will take you longer. So just plan ahead and take a look to see how many positions out there are posted for the position that you are looking for, and then adjust accordingly. But because you're hiring your first employee, it's not just the amount of time it's going to take you to recruit. You also want to look at the amount of time it's going to take for you to get everything set up, for you to get your payroll number, for you to get to learn how to do the payroll, for you to set up your spreadsheet, or if you do decide to go with some sort of payroll system like QuickBooks Online or Payworks, or there's so many of them, I just can't think of them all. Those are the two I'm thinking of right now. But if you decide to go with a company like that, you want to make sure that you get all of that set up. There is a group of 4 co-founders of a daycare that came to me in the month of July, and they said, we want to open up a daycare in September. Now, all 4 of them worked, and they were opening up this daycare while they were working, and they needed 12 employees by September. So what we did as our organization is we made sure that we took care of all of the hiring, We took care of the policies. We took care of everything that they needed to get set up with their employees. And by September, not only did we find all 12 of their new hires, but we also had everything in place for them, and they had enough time to train before they started work on that first day. So you want to make sure that you have enough time to do all of that. And remember what I said at the very beginning of this video is that I was lucky. I was lucky because I'm an HR professional and I oversaw payroll at a payroll certification. So I knew what I had to do. In your case, you may be a little bit overwhelmed with everything that I just shared with you. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed. It is so important for me to make sure that you walk into this feeling confident and feeling like I can do this. I can hire my employees and I'm going to have everything ready. Now, if you're the kind of person who likes to have a plan and likes to be proactive, and you really want to bring in some top-notch employees who are going to be loyal to you, and you can trust your gut when you meet them, and you've done everything right to get them on board and to have them working for your place so that you can serve your customers and clients the way you want to, how you have envisioned. All you need to do is come join me in my Kiy HR membership, and I will make sure that you're completely set up. In that Kiy HR membership, you get access to all the templates that I was just telling you about in this video, including an employee policy manual. It's like 32 pages long, and you can pick and choose the policies that you want and customize them to your flavor. And you also get a hiring strategy, my signature hiring strategy that's tried and true, that works. I promise you it works. So many people have experienced it and have had great employees from that hiring strategy. So what you would do is you would get your starter package, plus you also get access to me. So if you ever have any questions, you can ask me those questions and I will answer them for you. So if you're interested in that, just click on the link below and you will be taken to a page where there's more information about that, and will also give you the opportunity to purchase if that is of interest to you. If this video was helpful for you and you want to be notified every time I release a new video, you can just hit the little subscribe button right below this video and the notification bell right beside it. And if you liked this video, I would love it if you give a thumbs up so that the algorithm will know that what I'm providing to you is good content. And if you just want to get to watching another one of my videos and learn a little bit more about hiring, you can watch this video that I released on hiring with confidence. And you can also watch this video on how to pre-screen properly. Enjoy the rest of your day.